There's been more discussion about Donkey Kong within the last week than there has been in the last 10 years. Why is that? Well, as it turns out, the King of Swing himself got a brand new redesign for the new upcoming Mario Kart game, and it has set the internet on fire with many shouting that this may in fact be the death of Rare's Donkey Kong.
Or maybe, just maybe, we're taking things a little too far.
I mean, we are basing this assumption on like 10 seconds worth of blurry background footage. We don't even know what this new Mario Kart game is going to be called yet, so to be posting an obituary for the guy seems a little too soon and honestly kind of stupid. If you ask me, this guy isn't going anywhere, and I'm not just saying that as some wild pipe dream either, as the last couple months have shown us that there may actually be a renewed interest in the Donkey Kong that we all know and love. If you haven't heard, Donkey Kong Country Returns HD just recently released on the Switch, and apparently it's a pretty big fucking deal. Nintendo went kind of overboard with this game's marketing, as in they wouldn't shut the fuck up about it. And although most people have chalked it up to them wanting to surprise us with the Switch 2 reveal that we all knew was coming, I think it's fair to assume that that probably wasn't the only reason for its excessive marketing campaign. Look, I get it, it's a port of a 15-year-old Wii game, but given the circumstances surrounding it, it could potentially be hinting at something greater on the horizon. It just seems dumb for them to put out a game with this Donkey Kong if they were looking to retire this version of him very soon. Now, if we didn't get this game and our last Donkey Kong entry was 2018's Tropical Freeze port, there may be an actual argument here, but it does seem that Country Returns HD was put here for a very specific reason. But what's probably more significant than that is the recent opening of Super Nintendo World's new Donkey Kong expansion. Everything in this land, from the activities, shops, restaurants, and most importantly the ride, are all based solely on this version of Donkey Kong. And what makes that so important when talking about the future of DK is the amount of time, effort, and money that goes into such a big project like this. It would be really stupid on Nintendo's part to spend years working on this new theme park only to make it outdated within less than a year. Not to mention that it would be a marketing nightmare on both sides. Although the expansion is already open in Japan, the Orlando location is set to open this May. If we're believing what everyone else is saying, then that would certainly put these two very different versions of Donkey Kong in direct competition with each other. Sure, franchises like Sonic have been able to do that, but only within the realm of the games. Once we start going outside of that, things will inevitably get confusing for the average consumer. See, Super Nintendo World is unique in that its lands and attractions are based solely on the games rather than the movies, so if you're looking to go to Super Nintendo World, it's most likely because of the games. If we're getting a completely rebranded Donkey Kong, then that would definitely lead to less interest in that particular park, and could even go as far as making people believe that it's some sort of knockoff. I doubt the knockoff thing will ever happen, but if we are getting a rebranded Donkey Kong, then it would almost guarantee a severe decline in interest in the Donkey Kong expansion itself.
So when considering all of that, that's where I find the claims of this Donkey Kong's death to be a little unfounded.
But that doesn't explain the existence of this guy. Why is he here? Again, we don't really know a whole lot about the Switch 2's game library, as well as what the deal is with this new Mario Kart, and although we don't know much, I have come up with two different theories that I think can explain what's really going on here, the first of which being, this one is fairly simple. Although we've only had minimal footage of this new Mario Kart game, many people have already pointed out that this game is using a very different art style to the one we've been used to. It's clear that this new art style is heavily inspired by Mario Wonder, while also using many of the classic character designs seen in the late 80s and early 90s. Simply put, the new Donkey Kong design is a direct result of this game's art direction. Let's not forget that Donkey Kong is not the only character here to have been noticeably redesigned. Mario, Luigi, Bowser, and Peach have all been recognized as having new designs in the short amount of footage we've gotten. In addition, characters like Toad, Wario, Waluigi, Pauline, Daisy, Rosalina, Yoshi, and the Baby Bros also appear in that trailer, and although we didn't get a good look at them, they are also expected to be a bit different from the designs we all know. Now, is this going to be a company-wide thing, or is it just something pertaining to Mario Kart? I'm willing to put my money on this just being a Mario Kart thing. If we take the same logic that everyone is applying to DK, then the next Yoshi and Luigi's Mansion game would also be using these new character designs instead of what's been standard among each series for decades. Yet, no one has jumped up to say that the Yoshi series, okay maybe, no one has jumped up to say that the Luigi's Mansion series is dead, so why is this only happening for Donkey Kong? It's remarkably inconsistent. I'll even go one step further in suggesting that these models may be exclusive to a mode or tracks that are all based on Mario Wonder. I doubt that's actually the case, although it would explain the decision to change the art style after 20 years, but given that it's Mario's 40th anniversary, anything is possible. Okay, this one's a little more out there. Apparently there's been somewhat of an internal struggle within Nintendo centering around the identity of Donkey Kong. Some believe he's his own thing, while others believe he's just an extension of the Mario cast. Apparently Miyamoto has been encouraging the de-rarification of Donkey Kong for some time now, which makes this shit a little confusing. Supposedly Miyamoto was the one who suggested to Illumination to base their Donkey Kong design on the more classic version rather than the modern one. And because of that, a lot of people have assumed that this new redesign is a result of that battle, which could be the case, but that doesn't necessarily mean that this DK is dead either. In fact, there could be a possibility of two different coexisting Donkey Kongs. But how could that be possible? Well, look no further than the Sonic franchise, which has been doing the same thing for quite some time. If you know anything about the Sonic games, then you may already know that there's currently two different versions of Sonic that exist within the games, those being Classic Sonic and Modern Sonic. And given that this new Donkey Kong design is merely an updated version of his original design, that would make him fall more in line with what I would call Classic Donkey Kong, while this guy could either be called Modern DK or just Rare DK. Although this does seem a bit out there, let's also consider the relationship with Mario. Out of all Nintendo franchises, Mario and Donkey Kong have always been connected in a more direct way than others, which is to say that Donkey Kong tends to show up in a lot of Mario spin-offs. But if you know anything about DK's lore, then you know that these two worlds are kind of incompatible with each other. Ask yourself this: do you see Mario existing anywhere within this world? Probably not. These are two very distinct and very different worlds, with the only connective tissue being the arcade game. I know the Mario movie has officially connected these two worlds, but that is just the movie. In terms of the games, these are two very separate worlds. And just as many people have assumed, it does seem that Nintendo has been pushing some of the stuff from the movies into the games. So maybe this Donkey Kong is actually more connected with Mario, while this one is off in his own world. So anytime Mario needs a Donkey Kong, we'll get this one instead of this one. It allows Nintendo to make Donkey Kong a Mario character while also allowing this DK to be his own thing, while also cleaning up some of the weird continuity issues that have definitely risen with these two worlds being connected.
I know. This is a weird theory, but if this new Donkey Kong is to be taken seriously, then this is potentially a very viable option to make both sides happy. Yes, we get a new Donkey Kong, but we also get to keep and enjoy this one as well, which, if you ask me and many others, is the reason why I became a Donkey Kong fan in the first place.
Donkey Kong has always been a weird franchise, and although I can't say for certain whether one of these theories is true, I can confidently say that the next few years are going to be very interesting for us Donkey Kong fans. Hopefully, that ends up being for the better.